What's up, everybody? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we dive into the news, of course, I want to remind you, do head over to my website, btcsessions.ca. There you can reach out to me directly and book me for your own BTC session. We can chat Bitcoin, wallets, proper security, anything you like. Just head down to the bottom and there is a contact form where you can reach out to me. Beyond that, you can check out my Teespring link. There is some swag that you can grab there. The hashtag Bitcoin Twitter shirt, the stuff with my big dumb face on it. So be sure to check that out. And finally, I did a video earlier today. Links for that will be down below and in the cards probably here. Anyways, the interview was with one of the organizers of an event that is going on near me on March 5th and 6th. This is in Edmonton. It is called the Blockchain and Technology Symposium. Some of the reasons I'm very excited are some of the speakers. Saifedean, author of the Bitcoin Standard, is going to be there. Benjamin Gagnon was a really good speaker at the last Bitcoin Rodeo. We've got Mauricio, who was on the show from Leaden just recently. We've got Justina, who is Women in Blockchain. She's great on Twitter. You should follow her. Tons of great people. And where is he? Rodolfo Novak is in here too. He's from OpenDime. Of course, my employers, Francis Pouliot, David Bradley. So anyways, I do encourage you to check out the Bitcoin Rodeo if you're going to be in Edmonton around March 5th and 6th. I will be there. Hope to see you guys too. But without further ado, let's dive into the news. The first bit is that Samsung is launching their Galaxy S10 and it will include private crypto key storage. So what exactly does this mean? It means that the phone itself will double as a hardware wallet for your cryptocurrency. The actual component that stores your private keys is segregated from the rest of the device, so it cannot be compromised regardless of whether the phone is online or not. Now, how secure is it? We're not quite sure, but here's a quote from Samsung. Galaxy S10 is built with defense-grade Samsung Knox, as well as secure storage backed by hardware, which houses your private keys for blockchain-enabled mobile services. Now, I do think this is definitely a positive development when it comes to mobile devices and holding cryptocurrency or Bitcoin on them. Of course, if you have long-term savings, you don't want to be walking around with that in the first place, and that should be held elsewhere in a hardware wallet, in a safe somewhere, however you're going to do it. But for day-to-day funds, I like that this could offer an extra layer of security where you're not super vulnerable to somebody hacking your phone and being able to send your funds out right off the bat. So definitely positive. Now, it should be noted that while this isn't the only phone or the first phone to come out offering this, it is the most widely distributed and well known. It's a flagship phone, but a couple of the others that have come out or that are coming out, the Exodus 1, which is by HTC. Now, this one you can only buy with crypto, so this is a work in progress, but looks kind of cool. And then this one is called the Finny, and this is made by Siren Labs. Now, I don't know if the phone is any good, but I do not like the way that they're doing this, because what they've done is they've created a token, their Siren token, whatever the hell it is, and they've required you to only buy their phone with the Siren token. So essentially, they got to print some money. They require you to buy their money and pump their bags in order to buy their product, and I just don't like that. It's essentially, in order to get the product, you need to prop up their Ponzi scheme token. So just by default, I would give that one a pass for myself anyways. But let's move on. Now, I've been talking about Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, recently. I mentioned him in the show recently in regards to his apparent love of Bitcoin and borderline kind of Bitcoin maximalist approach that he has taken. He was also recently on a podcast alongside Lightning Labs Elizabeth Stark, and was interviewed by Stefan Livera. If you haven't heard that podcast, do check it out. I'll link that down below as well. But anyways, he's still on that Lightning train, and he recently tweeted out that he started using tippin.me, which I spoke about in the show the other day. I'll link to that in the cards and down below as well, and I will make a tutorial video on that in the future, so keep an eye out. But it is pretty easy to use. You could probably check it out and figure it out on your own without that. Anyways, he tweeted out, I hooked this up and already got tipped some Satoshis, and he basically started pumping this, and really awesome. It took off, and now everybody's buzzing about tipping Lightning Network over Twitter. And so a couple things about this. I mean, kudos to the guys at tippin.me for making something that has kind of caught fire and caught the attention of a lot of people. It's brought some eyeballs to Bitcoin that maybe weren't there before. Also, on the other side of the spectrum, people are have reservations because this is a custodial service. So that means that when you're using it, you're not in control of your own funds. Technically, it is tippin.me. They have the actual Satoshis sitting in their wallet, and it gets sent from person to person from there. So I'm sure we'll see non-custodial services pop up like this, but this is cool to see, and I don't mind it as long as people are cognizant that they shouldn't have much money in this. You know, a few bucks here and there, that's fine, but, you know, don't be dropping a few $100s into something like this and playing around with it, because you never know. But worth a check out. Cool to see Jack jumping on this, and hey, maybe this is the first precursor to seeing native Lightning tipping being built into Twitter or other social media networks. I guess time will tell. Let's jump ahead. Bitmain is just not having a good year. They're having a bad time. So Bitmain, the ASIC manufacturer, Bitcoin rival, I would say, at this point. Essentially, they make Bitcoin miners, and they wanted to do an IPO for the company. They've had to disclose a lot of their financials to potential investors, and, well, it hasn't been looking good as of late. Their Q4, it looks like they could be down as much as $500 million, which is a little scary. And on top of that, just the disclosures about bad asset allocation. They were heavily invested in Bitcoin Cash and took a really asymmetric bet on that, which didn't end up panning out for them. They've had to sell off. They've had to do layoffs and shut down some of their offices. And beyond that, if you go back a little bit further, they had the ant bleed exploit, which would have allowed any of their ant miners to be shut down remotely, which was scary. It was patched, but scary nonetheless. Well, another exploit has been found with Bitmain's Bitcoin miner S15, so the new ones. Now, this exploit was found by James Hillard, and he's the guy who made BIP91, which made the activation of SegWit possible while avoiding the SegWit 2x fork, which would have installed essentially corporate influenced devs as the main dev team and ousted all of the previous devs. So that was narrowly avoided thanks in part to this man. Now, James Hillard found this exploit, and it's a doozy. So this exploit would allow an attacker to essentially get control of an individual's miner and change anything they like. I'm talking maybe they want to change what mining pool you're with. Maybe they want to change the destination address of your payouts. So very, very scary. Not something you want out in the wild. Well, he said, okay, we figured this out, we found the exploit, and we see that you can execute on it. We'll release it responsibly we'll responsibly disclose it to Bitmain, but we have a condition. So here's the interesting thing. Bitmain is running software as part of their firmware for the S15, and that software is part of a GPL agreement or a GPL license, which requires that they open source everything, because some of the software that they're using in their implementation is also open source. Well, they're not open sourcing it. And so James Hillard has put forth an ultimatum. And he has said essentially, listen, you need to open source your shit, or I'm going to release this bug, this exploit out into the wild, and we'll see what happens. And that would be catastrophic for Bitmain. Not only Bitmain, but honestly anybody running their firmware and their new S15 miners, because they would be vulnerable as well. So very interesting and tricky situation, and I'm a little conflicted with it. One, I really like the idea of Bitmain being essentially coerced into making things open source because they have been so adversarial to Bitcoin in the past. So I think that's a plus. But on the other hand, what about innocent people just running these miners? They could be affected if this thing is just released. So, it's a tough call. I will say that I do actually quite enjoy this adversarial kind of game theory feel to the entire ecosystem, and I expect that most people getting into it should know about that and be half expecting it themselves. So I guess we'll see how this plays out, but really, really interesting to see, and I look forward to the resolution of whatever happens here with Bitmain. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I just want to say again, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Hit that notification icon. I'm always in the chat there during these streams. So if you want to be part of that live chat and actually talk to me in the chat box as this is airing for the first time, then hit the notification bell and be sure that you get notified when these go up. And beyond that, be sure, head over, check out the website, check out the Teespring, and if you're in Edmonton, go check out the Bitcoin Rodeo. Anyways, guys, have a great rest of the day, and I will see you guys tomorrow for your daily session.